Got a recipe for you here. This is a popular one in the Ratcliffe household. What goes better with football than pizza? Maybe beer, but I got a pizza dough recipe. Let's start this thing with 22.5 ounces of bread flour. That's the foundation for the recipe. And when I'm building DFS lineups today, my foundation is Tyreek Hill. He's expensive, but he can break the slate. We know he's on pace for that 2,000-yard season. And, of course, a great matchup here against Washington. But we can't just have the flour. We need to activate things. We need a catalyst here. So we're going to get some instant yeast in the mix with sugar as well. Tablespoon of each of those. Rashee Rice is going to be a catalyst for season-long fantasy football lineups today. First 100-yard receiver from a Chiefs rookie wideout since Dwayne Bowe in 2007. Gets a nice matchup against Keyshawn Nixon out of the slot against Green Bay. Of course, with all this, it's not really going to taste that good, so we got to add some kosher salt to the mix. Another tablespoon of that, and I tell you what, I got a tasty wager with Rachaad White. Anytime touchdown, plus 110 for that anytime touchdown for Rachaad White. The Panthers allow 1.5 rushing touchdowns per game to opposing backfields. We've got to bring this all together. So that's where the water comes into play. We're going to go with 15 ounces of warm water. We will also include there 3 tablespoons of olive oil to the mix, and that is going to be Russell Wilson. We need a quarterback to bring this all together for us today. Russell Wilson has been playing good football. 6 teams on bye. You may need a streamer at quarterback. Of course, last week scored as a runner and as a passer, so he's the water, brings it all together. We can have a tasty pizza and some tasty plays here for fantasy and betting purposes.
Excited to see that matchup for the Vikings. Injury news, but finally some good ones. Justin Jefferson is back. What does the outlook look like?
Oh, man. 7 weeks, Justin Jefferson. 7 weeks. And I will not make the playoffs. I admitted it in one of my home leagues because 7 weeks without Justin Jefferson, but finally he's back. And yes, a little bit of a downgraded quarterback with Josh Dobbs from Kirk Cousins, but there's still more than enough meat on the bone here for Jefferson to be in wide receiver 1 territory. Hey, we saw Jamar Chase put up big numbers with a backup quarterback as well. So Jefferson, this matchup against the Raiders, I love. Jack Jones is getting some run there now that Marcus Peters is out of the mix. 10 catches allowed on 13 targets this season, 13.4 yards per catch. The last week of the fantasy football regular season, Justin Jefferson back in the nick of time and may help some fantasy managers get over the hump, get into the postseason. You know, I got asked an interesting question this week on social media. Should I still be starting Patrick Mahomes? It's come to this. We've come this far. Yes, of course, you should still be starting Patrick Mahomes. I realize he has not topped 300 passing yards since week 7, but he's still Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And, of course, he has Rashee Rice helping him out there along with Travis Kelce in the passing game. Now, Bailey Zappi, the other side of the coin, 3 passing scores last week. Looked pretty good in the process, but I'm very cautious with Bailey Zappi in Superflex leagues because he could immediately turn it back into that Mac Jones impersonator he was earlier in the season.
Wait and see. It's time now for Chalk, Value, Punt. Talk to me.
Alvin Kamara is going to start things off for me. He's been awesome this season. Over 100 yards, 102.3 scrimmage yards per game. Leads all running backs with 60 catches. And, of course, he's facing a defense that's allowing 1.4 rushing touchdowns per game to opposing backfields. Love this spot for Kamara. Let's keep with the running backs here. I'll go to the other side of that contest with Zach Moss. And, yes, even after last week, Zach Moss. Bounce back game form, no Jonathan Taylor in the lineup, and without Taylor this season, he's averaging 23.3 touches per game, 94.8 scrimmage yards per game, and 0.6 rushing touchdowns. I really like this spot for Moss. Look for them to control the game on the ground here. You know, it's tough to like much in the Carolina offense right now, but how about rookie Jonathan Mingo?
Hey.
Finally turning it on here, the Ole Miss product. Last week saw 10 targets in that contest, catching 6 of them for a very nice 69 yards. Loving this, though, especially because of the price point. People are overlooking the offense. We know how Bryce Young is struggling, but with this interim regime in place, we saw them really prioritize Chuba Hubbard and really prioritize Jonathan Mingo.
Here, Jeff's giving you the secrets to fantasy playoff success, and I'm giving you some bets to keep you invested if you miss the playoffs, but you want to keep that a secret. Jeff, you're up first. Who you got?
This segment makes me hungry for popcorn.
Oh.
I have Ezekiel Elliott as my secret. Hey, it's not really a secret what he did last week. 29 touches, 140 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. But isn't it just this fantasy season that Ezekiel Elliott could be the galvanizing force behind fantasy championships for a lot of teams out there? Welcome back to RB1 territory, Ezekiel Elliott. Let's crack open my envelope here with Jaden Reed. The rookie has scored in 4 of his last 5 games, and this is about the matchup as well. We have seen wide receivers consistently going off here against Tampa. Drake London, Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk, Tank Dell, Noah Brown. Next man up, Jaden Reed for us here. He is a wide receiver to play given the injuries that they have in that Packers wide receiver core. Well, like Adam Schein would say, yes! Let's get Matthew Stafford in starting lineups. Stafford's playing some great football right now. 3 passing touchdowns in 3 straight games. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp at his disposal, and Cooper Kupp finally looking good again, looking fully recovered from the injury. Washington is a fantastic matchup for opposing quarterbacks. In fact, the number 2, the only team that gives up more points to quarterbacks is the Philadelphia Eagles. So Matthew Stafford, a top 10 option this week. Let's go to the other side of this one. Sam Howell. Now, I just talked about how bizarre this season has been for fantasy purposes. Here's a quintessential example right here. Sam Howell this season. 58 sacks taken, that obviously leads the league. He has pick sixes in 3 straight games. That's bad. Both of those very bad. Yet, at the same time, he's quarterback 7 for fantasy purposes. He has 5 300-yard games. Only C.J. Stroud has more. I'm not trying to figure it out. I don't understand it, but it works. He is also in starting lineups as a top 10 play. We get both sides of that quarterbacks here for fantasy purposes.